You're listening to Radigan's Rockcast, a series focused on talking about music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even current. Now, here's your host, Tom Radigan.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Radigan's Rockcast. I am, of course, your host, Tom Radigan. Thank you, whether you're listening to this on YouTube, Anchor, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you are on, I am glad you are on. So, today we are still talking about music from the 2000s. Now, the one thing that we've realized and that we've discussed is that, rock music was not the same as it was in previous decades. And, it definitely was sort of in this period of what was going to happen to it. How would rock survive? And hard rock was even, kind of, no pun intended, harder to see how it could survive. How are we going to get that? How are we going to get the subgenres popular too? And I believe that an album from Matchbox 20 that was released about 20 years ago, The More Than You Think You Are, by Matchbox 20, like I said, which was Rob Thomas's group, definitely shows that, rock is not totally dead. Yet, it didn't have a huge critical, it didn't do so well to the album. But the album wasn't received so well, in a sense. The song Unwell was a big hit, which I've always loved Unwell. It's one of my favorite songs. There's even Disease, which is a song that Rob Thomas did with Mick Jagger, that he wrote with Mick Jagger because he was going to have Mick Jagger do that on his album. But Mick Jagger was so humble and realizing that this doesn't belong on his album and that this is something that Rob Thomas and his group should have. And I think that shows, very, Mick Jagger being humble, because it's like, He was already the biggest rock star. He doesn't need another hit, in a sense. But to give it to a guy who actually is a hard worker and who comes up with these great songs. This was a guy who did Santana's Smooth. He just, had something about this songwriting talent that shouldn't have gone to waste. And it was good that they kept Disease. And the one thing that is great about this album is Rob Thomas. Rob Thomas is what carries this album. It's, he's all over it with his lead vocals and all that. In some ways, when I think of Matchbox 20, I know more of Rob Thomas, but also the other guys should also get their credit too. Kyle Cook is a lead guitarist, and all that, on these songs are great. And, there's songs like Feel, Disease, like we've talked about, and they all have this hard rock edge, and that's where they wanted to focus on. They wanted to focus more on that style. And I think they do. And I think, for instance, Feel definitely has that powerful, drive to it. This very, when you first hear the album and all that, when you hear that song, it definitely brings you into this is like, okay, this is a rock album. There doesn't seem like there's any song that's not going to be as hard as this and have that style. And there really isn't, we've got, some twists and turns along the way, which we'll talk about. The second song, of course, is Disease. Like I said, it was a song that is co-credited to Mick Jagger. I know that because it was going to be a Mick Jagger song on his album, but, he gave it to Rob Thomas, and Disease works well. I mean, there's a lot of these songs that kind of relate to, this, mental health in a sense, in that sense. It's got that, it's definitely got that hard rock, punk rock kind of, rebellion thing too, of that as well. It works well. I mean, the guitar work on it is good. And then the third track, which is another, it's like each song on this album is just like better than the next. And then you got Bright Lights, and Bright Lights is a good song because it's got this, it's got the piano and all that, but it's also got this, it's still got that rock edge that works. And, you forget that this is Rob Thomas, because Rob Thomas had some pop hits, like with Smooth and all that. And Rob Thomas, I think, is able to be such a chameleon in his voice that the music, you don't see this as just like Rob Thomas or even Matchbox 20. It's almost like it's just like their presence is not on this record, and you're just hearing some great, hard rock edging music that's coming at you, and it's got this, it's definitely a good album for people who are a fan of rock. It shows that rock can still live on, and it's definitely a theme in it. I would say is hail, hail, rock and roll. It's saying that this is still important music. This music still can, make people entertained and all that, and can still, play with people's emotions and, and all that. It has a feel to it, and that's what it works with this. Now, coming at number 4, we have the song Unwell, which is, their big pop hit. And it's definitely a different tune on the album in all that sense. As this, always the commercial single, I think, is always a different, feel to what the actual songs on the album is. And yeah, Unwell has that kind of thing that maybe it should have just been released as a big single and not on the album. But I love the song Unwell. I've loved it, since I was a kid, and hearing it in the early 2000s. I've always thought it was a catchy song. I've always thought, the instruments on it were great. Very, the riffs are unusual, I think, in a sense. And I think it's this cool, type of song. It's got a little bit of a disturbing message to it, but just a little bit of a sad message. But I think melody wise, and I think for some reason I feel like this is a song you listen to on a sunny day. And even though it has not the best lyrics, the melody is what is able to help this. And I think that's the thing with music. You still love music on the most beautiful day, or you want to listen to a song on a happy day, even if the song doesn't have great lyrics. But why you listen to it is because the melody is still good and all that, The melody has presence, and the melody is able to stick in your mind. That's why you can listen to it. That's what I have to say about that. And, going on to number 5, then we get back to that hard rock edge with Cold, songs like that. Definitely, I've talked about Little Feat. I've been listening to more Little Feat lately, and, the Little Feat song Cold, 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 it's got that, I don't know if, Rob Thomas was a fan of Little Feat, but it's got a little bit of that riff. The riff sounds a little similar in that sense, playing on that riff. And, for a second, it's oh, is this song actually Cold and a cover of Cold? It's not, and it's got its own lyrics, but it's cool how that riff starts with it. And I wonder if there was some influence from the Little Feat song. I don't know, in that sense, but I think there is definitely it's an interesting shift even in the song, how the melody sort of changes in all that sense. But they're able to keep to the hard rock. And I think the one thing I can tell of maybe the criticism with this album is that because this group already was able to make it maintain, a pop status, by going into a hard rock status kind of changes what they are doing in all that sense. It's like if Machine Gun Kelly decided to do punk and not stick to just rap. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. Yeah. No. But I think, in that sense that, they're also, Matchbox 20 is also styled as, I think styled. I mean, it's more of it's more categorized as, alternative pop in a sense. And I think, there is definitely that. And maybe the reason why, too, is because, they were a mainstream group that was in the radio. But this definitely has a rock feel to it. And, it doesn't matter what category something's in. Music is music, There's no difference in that sense. Music is, if you like music, then if you like a specific song, then that's good, There's nothing wrong with that, in that sense, So that's my spiel on those songs. Other songs I like is All I Need, Hand Me Down, which have more of a sweet essence in a sense. They've got this really kind of beautiful flow. I think with their even if their lyrics aren't meant to be romantic or anything, they have this nice feel to it, and they have this nice style that make the song beautiful in a sense, and shift to a sweet melody and all that. And the one song I think that I don't have so much of a preference, which is like, there are some songs where it's a little too preachy and all that, like for instance, like Downfall. I find that very with the choir and all that. I don't know. I mean, but then when you have a song like Soul, it's good. The Difference, even their song So Sad and Lonely, which is a hidden track, it's got definitely that 2000s rock style in a sense, But then when you've got a song like, for instance, You're So Real, that is a whole, banger and all that. And that just works so well. And, when you hear a song like that, like that, it's like, yeah, keep singing that. Keep doing stuff like that. That's incredible, And when you do stuff like, ending it with The Difference, it's an interesting way to end it. A little bit of a softer turn. But then when you have the bonus track So Sad, it brings more of a different ending to the album, which stays on that hard rock edge. And I think that's what, people could focus on when they think of this album and all that, So that's really my spiel of this whole record. What do you guys think of Rob Thomas and Matchbox 20? Let me know and all that. And let me know what is your favorite Matchbox 20 album, or Rob Thomas album for that matter. Thank you guys, and see you next time. Bye.